This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Wow, 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 wow. One of my favorite songs in jazz world. This is your girl, Lisa Sunshine. Oh my God, y'all. This is the greatest thing ever right now happening. Why? Because I'm in Clearwater, and two, that's my home as a child. Hey, y'all, I'm on Facebook Live, so check me out. What's going on? What's going on? I'm just crazy enough to just kind of figure that, you know, God uses everything, right? And long time ago, I'd say about 12 or 13 years ago, I got bold enough to do a radio show in Topeka, Kansas, because I was dared to do it by the station manager, Bob. Oh, my gosh, what was Bob's last name? But anyway, and so I did Praise Party 150. And we had so much fun. And look at this. Here I am doing this thing again because I'm crazy enough to just kind of figure that people need help with life. I'm a life coach. And I love jazz. And I know a lot of other people love jazz. I love traditional, classic jazz. And I also love smooth jazz, fusion jazz, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we're going to jam here. This is going to be my spot right here. every Tuesday from noon to 2 p.m. If you have live questions, call in or you can email me. My voice is a little weird right now because I'm kind of getting over some stuff that tried to jump on me. It cannot stay, right? So I got my tea. I'm going to sip on my tea today. And then from there, we're going to do jazz. We're going to do coaching. And so if I can't coach you, if I can't answer the question and I think it's a therapeutic thing, then I'm going to refer you to a therapist or I'm going to just refer you. So let's have a little fun. You're going to get to know me a little bit. My background is Clearwater right here, literally, where I grew up as a little girl and young, teenager. The church is literally how is fate, right? Fate is crazy, coming full circle. The church that I grew up in as a little girl is literally in the backyard off to the right of this radio station. Insane, totally insane, right? So I believe in full circle. I believe in when you're able to overcome some things, that is not just for you, that it is your responsibility as a human being, not a human doing, but a human being, to work and make sure that people know how you overcame. Because for one reason or another, I'm kind of thinking that it's just very, very helpful that if you've overcome a thing, there's probably hundreds of thousands of people that may be going through the same thing. So get ready for some good stuff. We've got some up and comers regarding jazz coming up. We've got some folks that are dead and gone, but their music is legacy coming up. We've got stories about me, about Clearwater. Oh my gosh, we're just gonna have a good time for the next couple of hours. Give me 2 hours of your time here and there. I know you'll come in and out because that's what I do on the radio. And we're not going to do a whole lot of commercials today because this is my first show. Shout out, first of all, to my hubby. Thank you, baby, for supporting me. And for my family and my homegirls and my sidekick today, Ms. Z is what I call her. But anyway, we got a lot going on. I am just stoked that I could be here today and that this is a dream for me. As a life coach, I want to help as many people as possible. As a jazz lover, I want to promote it. And as a matter of fact, I came through Clearwater, through the Clearwater Jazz Festival. And as a little girl, my bonus dad worked for the city of Clearwater. And what we did was we were drugged. We were drugged to the festival. And at that time, as a little girl, I hated jazz. I hated it because it was a lot of music with no words. And so through the years, we would be drugged to the jazz festival, but it was so cool. And through the years, as fate would have it, I would move to Topeka and I would help with the Coleman Hawkins Legacy Jazz Festival for almost a decade. So it was just really good stuff. So anyway, that's it on Facebook Live for now. Let's get into just a little bit of music here. And anybody, knowing a little bit about maybe a little bebop, maybe a little Dizzy Gillespie. Anybody know about that dude? So let's see what he's got for us. Wow. Oh my gosh. Does that not give you life? Oh my gosh. Dizzy Gillespie is just one of the greatest of all times, the GOAT, okay, when it comes to jazz and everything jazz. And so I am here in Clearwater, Florida. I'm still tripping on that, y'all. I'm in Clearwater, Florida. I'm a life coach. I'm a motivational speaker. I love people. I love recovery. I love overcoming. And I love jazz. So why not put the two together, right? Why not put the two together? So I put the two together for years now. Golly, I've been coaching on the low because I love helping people. And I love helping people overcome obstacles and overcome bumps in the roads. And as life would have it, I've had to do that myself on so many different occasions. And through the years, I just kind of figured, I have something to offer. I'm going to leave it better than I found it. When I walk in the building, it may be one way. When I leave, it's going to be better. When I meet someone, because they know me, they should be inspired. They should be encouraged. And so I am here today to encourage YOU because someone has encouraged me, and I'm going to move it forward. I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to move it along. And I believe that if all of us would take the bitter, very distasteful parts of our lives, and we would flip the script on it, really, just make it for our good. Whatever you can do, however you can hold it, however you can grab it, make it work for you. Don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck in the past. Don't stay stuck in hurt and pain and confusion. Get some clarity, keep it, and move it along. So a little bit about me. I was born in this little bitty town called Tuskegee, Alabama. My folks are actually in Montgomery, but my mom and Bonus dad moved us here when I was, I think, 5 years old. I think I was 5 or 6 years old. I went to Ponce de Leon Elementary School, and we got involved in the church very soon after, St. Matthew's Baptist Church, right here off of Seminole. And things got crazy real quick. And just formative years, doing life as a blended family. And from there, Ponce de Leon went to Fuse. No, that's Montgomery, Lord. Went to JFK. Jail for Kids is what we used to call it. When we were really just out of control and just needing some help, needing some support. And from JFK, a really crazy thing happened. They opened up a school. They were building a school out in Palm Harbor, and they made us do a really weird schedule. And we had to go about, some of the kids went to school, I think, from 7 in the morning till noon, and the rest of us that were bused to school out in Palm Harbor, Tarpon Springs, we were bussed in, and I think we didn't get to school until 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I can remember when the seasons changed, we ended up coming home in the dark. I hated it. I hated it. And then I graduated from Dunedin High School. Things started getting crazy. Real crazy, because when you get older, you can start making decisions. And those decisions can even bless your life or break your life. And I started breaking my life really, really early on because I was recovering from pain and hurt, unresolved issues. And so my coping mechanisms began to bring a lot of pain to my life. And so I graduated high school pregnant and dealt with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt and a lot of still unanswered questions, unsolved hurt, things like that. So what I decided to do was, on this day, the reason why I started this show today, and the reason why I decided that I was going to just really go for it and not wait another week because I wasn't feeling well and my voice was tripping and all that. The reason why I decided that I was going to start today was going to be the first day of the Jazz Coaches Radio Show, is because today, 27 years ago, I married my baby's father. And I did that for so many different reasons. We won't talk about that right now. But I believe in going back and reclaiming what was taken. And so I, as a matter of fact, it really wasn't taken. I gave some stuff away. I gave away my freedom. I gave away sound judgment. I gave away peace of mind. I gave away joy. We were just really silly kids. He was coping with things. I was coping with things, and broke people break people. So here I am today to talk to you about how to recover and live, how to recover and live. Anybody out there want to recover and live? And so today, 27 years ago, we got married at the courthouse. He was in the military, in the Air Force, and we decided that we were going to travel. He was a distinguished airman at the time, or somewhere thereabouts. And the Air Force decided that they wanted to make him great. And he said, okay, I'll take you up on that offer. And so we traveled, and he went to school. And before you know it, we were living in Europe. And it was one of the most phenomenal experiences of my life, living in Europe, going to downtown London, riding on double-decker buses and going to castles and things like that. It was absolutely extraordinary. But in the midst of that was a lot of pain, a lot of things going on that I did not know how to fix, and a lot of brokenness on the inside of me, as well as on the inside of my then husband. We had a little girl, Alexis, and she was the pride of life for us. And we just decided, that we would just keep doing really, really, really crazy stuff instead of getting counseling, getting sound judgment, getting practical answers for practical issues. And so what we decided to do ended up being something that did not work. It just did not work. It was not going to work. It was not going to ever work. And 7 years later, we divorced. And so, but in the midst of that time was a lot of pain, a lot of abuse, a lot of, just a lot of things that should not have been. And so here I am thinking that, say that again. Oh, okay. Hey, Tia, thanks for calling. Hold on a minute. So what we're doing is we're going to talk about life, and we're going to talk about jazz, and we're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about jazz, and we're going to talk about life some more. So let's get that caller in. Let's see, Tia. Tia, are you on the line,
Hi.
babe?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
Hi. How are
Thank
you
you
all
for
today?
calling. Oh my gosh.
This is amazing. I'm calling because I'm listening to your story, and I just have a question.
Okay.
So, when did you know all of these amazing things that happened in your life and the stories that you're telling about your childhood and everything? When did you know that all of that kind of boiled up to, how did it come out in the form of coaching?
Well, I think industry put a title on it. For a long time, I think it was mentoring. And I've mentored for, if my mom could tell the story, she said I started mentoring as soon as I could talk. but through the years, I think industry put a title on it because we're not counselors, we're not therapists. And so I think once industry put a title on it, it went from being a mentor where you kind of sought counsel, from somebody that loved you or cared about you or what have you. And it kind of morphed into coaching. And I believe that God uses everything. I believe that at any given time, if you decide to own up to your part in the stuff, if you begin to recover and you start making good on things that happened that were bad, I believe that you have a responsibility to share it and, try to help make people's lives better. So all of it coming to fruition didn't just kind of happen one day. I've been doing it for a very, very long time, just not with a title other than being a mentor.
Awesome. Because, you do hear the title coach a lot nowadays, and we know how industry is. They give titles, and it becomes for a season, they'll call you this and they'll call you that. But I was just wondering how that came about in your life. And do you have any specific areas that you're that you coach the people in, or is it like just across the board? You can just anybody who wants to be coached, or how does that look?
I cannot say I can coach anybody. I don't believe that. I believe I could give practically anybody some sage advice, but to coach and be in relationship with, my main focus is women, married or divorced, particularly if they're divorced, in a blended family, because that's what I know, and that's what I've studied, and that's what I've been counseled on through the years, and that's what I've given counsel on. Also, women with ADHD. That's something that is a part of my life and something I've dealt with since I was a kid. Did not know it until one of our children were having some issues, and we were getting him looked at and having our pediatrician give us some advice. And I was asking questions for him and found out, whoops, no wonder I'm so hyper. No wonder I'm so creative. Woo. So, women with ADHD, women who are in a blended family, women who have been through domestic violence issues. Those are my three main profiles, I guess, if we have one. And that's just not to say that, I don't coach other women, but if I had my druthers, those top three things would be where I would land pretty softly.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions. Well, I guess one other question is, how can we be sure to contact you, when it's not Tuesday and you're not on the radio, how can we find you?
I do have a blog on Facebook. This Little Light is the name of that page. This Little Light, Lisa Kirk's Journey. And on my website, shareyoursunshine.com. That's shareyoursunshine.com. And you can email me at lisa@shareyoursunshine.com. I am available on Facebook. I'm available via email. And I appreciate you, Tia, for calling in.
Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
All right.
Have an awesome day.
Bye-bye. Thank you. You too.
All right. That was really, really, really cool. So how did I become a coach? I was a coach before I was a coach, honestly. But there are times when all of us have to kind of look at ourselves in the mirror and just kind of figure, what else do I offer? Like, how can I qualify? And my life qualifies. My overcoming qualifies. My getting up out of muck and mire qualifies. Going from homelessness 22 years ago to together with my husband owning a 9-bedroom home, 7-bathroom home, it qualifies because I can show you a little something. I can share some things with you, and I can help you understand how being stuck is not helpful. It's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, when you're stuck, you can't say that you're thriving, But I became a coach earlier this year. Actually, my certification came through the Coaches Training Institute, and that's in Atlanta, Georgia. It is one of the most amazing, formidable, intense. It's probably the most intense thing I've done to help myself, other than consistent counseling and therapy through the years. To get me to a point where I felt like, oh my gosh, so it was really, really cool to be there for those 3-4 days in Atlanta, doing the training, and realizing that probably the first day and a half of the training, I had done that stuff probably for the past 7 or 8 years. And so it was awesome to be confirmed and affirmed by an international speaker and coach, Valerie Burton. And it was an eye-opener for me. Many of us do what I did, and we just talk ourselves down. We talk ourselves down way, way, way too much. And to be there in the room with over 100 other people, she keeps the number right at about 115, I believe, for the sake of coaching. And if you ever go, you'll know why. But with over 100 other people there, it was just really, really cool to be able to say, wow, I do know what I'm doing. I am able to help people, and I can make people's lives greater. And so after that particular intensive training, I just began to just say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. This is when I'm going to do it. If I'm going to expand, I'm going to go this direction. If I don't expand, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to keep my feet planted for a while. Excuse me. And we're just going to, the mantra is still the same. We want to make people's lives greater. I want to leave it better than I found it. And so that's a little bit about me. Let's see. I think it's time for a little bit more music. You guys can start calling in. If you have a particular song that you want to hear, make sure it's jazz. And it doesn't matter if it's straight ahead jazz or smooth jazz for the second hour, because I will be with you until 1:59. Thanks, Ed. Ed's the coolest engineer ever. He's just kind of, just bringing it on down like he took his CoQ10 this morning. And I appreciate him, because I didn't hear back from the station owner until yesterday that I was a go for today. So we're winging this, baby. That's what we're going to do. We're going to wing it, and we're going to have some fun, and we're going to listen to some jazz, and we're going to get to know me a little bit. I'm going to let you get to know me a little bit. And so moving forward, you can tell your friends to get online at tantalk1340.com. But for now, is it Dave's turn? Is it Dave's turn, Ed? Dave Brubeck? Ella. Ooh, let's get a little Ella. One of my favorite songs, Summertime.
Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Singing, you're gonna spread your wings and you take to the sky. But till that morning, there's enough can harm you with Daddy and Mommy standing by. They say summertime the living's easy. What makes it easy? You have to go out and work. So you go out and you do a day's work. It's so warm, it's so hot, you perspire. Yes, you perspire. And you perspire. What do you get? Perspiration. But you don't mind it because it's summertime and the living's easy. So you say, I think I'll go down. Let's go down and dig the real cool sounds at Mr. Kelly's. You come in Mr. Kelly's and you taste a while. Yes, Daddy, you drink a while. And you drink. What do you get? The check. You don't mind it because it's summertime. The living's easy. What do you care? Your daddy's rich. You got a good-looking mother. Imagine everybody with a good-looking mother and a rich daddy. Summertime. That's what the song says. Living easy. Oh yeah. Summertime. 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 And the living is easy. Thank you.
All right, all right, all right. So let's talk about coaching. Let's talk about what a life coach is. A life coach, really, to put it very succinctly, a life coach is all about your future. It's about your present and your future greatness. Therapy, counseling is really healing your past. And so as a therapist, as a coach, I went to a therapist to help me recover and live better for my future. Okay. I've had some mentors along the way, but I never had a coach. And when I think about what I offer is what I needed when I was a teenager. Even when I was a preteen, there are things going on in my life that I really, really, really needed a safe place to land. And because I did not have a safe place to land, I learned coping mechanisms that were very, very, very harmful to my state of being. It was harmful to my state of mind. It was harmful to my life. And so what I decided to do through the years was debunk the deal that, what goes on in my house stays in my house. Okay. I threw that mess out the window because what was going on was I was repeating some very, very, very vicious cycles. And I was creating some of my own as well. And so I wanted to be good to myself. I wanted to take care of myself better. And in doing so, I ended up researching for Christian counselors and decided that at some point in time, I would just let it all out. I would just put it out there. I would be very honest about my past so that I could own up to my part. I could listen to my soul. I could listen to what was really, really, really painful for me and not cope anymore. I didn't want to cope anymore. I wanted to heal. And in healing, that meant that I needed to go to therapy. And I went to therapy starting at about 23 or 24 years old, all the way up to now. I see a counselor periodically just because I want to stay good. I want to stay well. And so I don't let stuff bog me down. I don't let stuff attach itself to me in such a way that I'm not operating on all cylinders. So again, coaching is about moving forward. It's someone who will come alongside you and say, hey, I'm getting ready to relocate. I don't really know anyone. I know this is going to be a good move for me. I'm just giving some situations here and circumstances, but I don't know anyone, but I know it's going to be a good move for me. I do know the people there at, the place where I'm going or the company or what have you. Can you coach me over the next 6 months while I get acclimated? Another situation, I'm going into a situation where I know a little bit about it, but I'm fearful. And, I know I can do it. I have all the tools. I know I can be successful, but I think I just need someone to just stand by me and be at the ready, via phone call, in person, be ready to meet with me and get me the support I need for the next 6 months. And, just different scenarios. Right now I'm coaching a young lady who's a single mom, and she wasn't raised by her mother. She was raised by her grandmother, and she's 25 years old, but she heard me speak someplace and she said, you know what? I don't care about the money. I'm not going to even tell you how much I make. I'm a CNA, but I have got to do something different. I cannot continue to live the way I'm living. I know it's not healthy. And she hired me. And what I did after that was really pray because I'm a giver. I'm a natural giver, and I will give the house away. I'll give my car away. And my husband balances me very nicely. And what he does, but what happened is I gave her a rate of pay, and she said, you know what, I can do that because I spend this, on that, what have you. I splurge all the time money that I shouldn't be splurging. So for the first time in my life, I am going to sit down and I'm going to do something for myself that's lasting. I'm not going to get my nails done. I can do my own hair, and I'm going to make this sacrifice. And I told her, I said, this is probably the first time that you're actually going to invest in yourself. You're going to do something for you that's going to bless your life today and in the future. And so no money, no purse, no shoes, no husband, no wife can do that for you, when you invest in yourself. And so we have coached now for 6 weeks, and OMG, I just cannot even begin to tell you how much she has grown. And we do a little survey at the end, and I want to make sure that I'm exceeding her expectations every week when we meet, because it is vital for me that if one way or the other something happened and I never see her again, she is still going to be well. And she can take what I have shared with her as her coach, and her life will be greater because she's known me. So again, coaching is about goals. It's about attaining your goals. It can be weight. It can be marriage. It can be work. It can be family, what have you. It doesn't matter. So we're talking about goals to make your life greater, goals to, increase your confidence and things like that. And so when you talk about coaching and when you talk about mentoring, sometimes those things do go hand in hand. I believe coaching is the next step further, maybe to beyond mentoring. Mentoring is very, very, very helpful. But coaching is saying, I'm going to stick with you. There's going to be a set time where you're going to communicate with me. I'm not going to leave you. I will be available. And each of my clients, I make myself available. I do have, particular times, of course, that are for my family and for resting and things like that. But they can call me and they can say, hey, I'm dealing with this situation. I know we don't meet until next week, but can you believe this just happened or that just happened? And I'll ask, well, how's it going? How are you handling that? Or what have you. And so coaching is just a little bit different. Mentoring is vital. I cannot state how powerful and how significant mentoring is if you want to be, I say successful, but I say if you want to be great. And everybody's level of greatness is different. And so everybody's level of mentoring is going to be different, just like everybody's level for coaching is going to be different. And there are levels to coaching as well. The way I would mentor, or I would mentor a young girl who may be 12 or 13 years old. I would coach her mother. Because very different things, there's a very different dynamic that may happen there. What I will not do is provide, quote unquote therapy. Oh, well, this happened in my life or that happened in my life. And I still find myself, being, very anxious, or I'm dealing with, a greater level of anxiety now because that happened to me 5 years ago or 25 years ago. That part right there is counseling. That is, if it's still gripping you, if you are still stuck right where you are because of that particular situation or set of circumstances, I would advise that, we would probably sit down for that first hour. And at that point, I could tell, and you would be able to tell me if you are legit ready to move on or if you're still stuck. And if you are still stuck, I will not coach you, because at that point, I would advise you to do what I did, and that's go and see a therapist and talk to someone who is educated, certified, all that kind of stuff in therapy, in psychological counseling, all of those things. I've done all of those, and I am proud to say today, at 46 years old, I am an overcomer. Therapy, counseling, mentoring, coaching, I've done it all. And all of those things has helped me. So I also want to talk about how vital it is for us to be honest with ourselves, to know where we should be and what we need. And coaching can help with that. Bring clarity. You know what? I thought I needed a coach, or I thought I needed counseling. But what I need is forgiveness. What I need is peace of mind. What I need is a plan of action. What I need is to understand that I'm not as worse off as I thought I was. What I need is understanding that I'm great where I am right now. Because if you are an overcomer of domestic violence, like I am, if you are an overcomer of homelessness, like I am, if you are an overcomer of abuse, like I am, I guarantee you, there are people who need you to be healed. There are people who need you to overcome. There are people out there that are assigned to you specifically. And so at any given time, when you decide that you're going to take that platform, you're going to use everything that happened in your past that you overcame, you're going to use those things, you're going to use every bit of it to make somebody else's life great, you just left a legacy. And many people, sometimes they find themselves shameful. They are humiliated by what they allowed, or what they, the situations that they got themselves into. And that's a lie. That's an attack on yourself. That's an attack on your purpose. Many people, walked into situations. I was one of those people. I walked into situations as a coping mechanism, not for wisdom, not in wisdom, not in clarity, but as, a reactive measure. I did this and now I need to do this. Well, those two didn't equal each other out at all. And so healing levels the playing floor. It levels the playing field. When you're healed and you see a thing, you may be moved by it, but you're not broken by it again. You can watch a movie or see people in situations and say, oh my gosh, I've been there. I've done that. I've overcome that. And you're not gripped in fear again. You're not moved to tears or hysteria. That's what healing does. And so for the sake of understanding, your coach will come alongside your healed self, and your coach will say, what's next? What's next on your agenda? What is it that you want to do? Are you sure about how you want to go about doing it? What's the goal? What's the timeline? You got to be smart about it, right? The SMART goals. And so when you pull all those things together and you have a plan of action, you get to work. And getting to work is probably one of the most incredible feelings in the world when you're in the state of overcoming, because little bitty steps toward your healing means that you're further and further away from where you started. So it does not mean that you need to make great leaps. If you're moving forward, that's what matters. Moving forward is the key to success. It's the key to reaching your goal. Hiccups happen, life happens, things happen. And so you have to be able to say, I'm going to recover from this. I'm going to rebound from this. I posted the other day, so many folks, when things happen in their lives, they just lose it. They just kind of figure, oh my God, what am I going to do now? This isn't turning out the way that I thought it was going to turn out. This isn't, what I envisioned, And so when you figure that it's a pause in life, it's just a season. It could be a short season or a long season, but it's not for the duration. And so trouble comes, seasons change, but seasons change and they come and go, right? We're leaving summertime and we're moving into the fall season, and some things are going to fall away. The leaves are going to, fall away, and it's going to be beautiful for a moment, just for a moment. But then those trees are going to become bare, and we're not going to cut the grass as much anymore. And the hay fever and the allergies are going to go away for a while or what have you. But during that time, the trees are going to be bare. It's going to look kind of ugly for a little bit. We look forward to spring, though. We do. After winter, we look forward to spring. And then, the seasons change. So if we would take that same mindset, if we would just pause for a moment and say, I'm not going to treat this situation as if it is a deal breaker, but just a bump in the road. Now, if you go across that bump in the road way too fast, that's a problem. That's a problem. But when you are aware and you say, you know what? Let me do a woosah. Did y'all just hear me do that? I just took a really good deep breath and I thought, okay, you do the same thing. A situation happens. You lose your job. Your husband walks out. Your wife walks out. Whatever. You don't get. I know a lot of kids just went back to school or going to school for the first time. You didn't get the scholarship you thought you were going to get, and you were betting money on it. It's just a bump in the road. It's not a showstopper. And so as I coach, I'm reminding myself through my clients that things happen, seasons change, but we have to remain resolute in the goal. Where am I going? Why am I here? Why am I even going toward this goal in the first place? Why is it absolutely vital that I stay right here and focus on this particular thing? So next hour, we're gonna play a little bit more music, and I want you to call in. The number is 727-441-3000. I want to take your calls. Please, please, please give me a call, and you can state your name or not. But we're going to sign off to do station identification, and we'll be back. And then, but let me tell you who's coming up next. Next hour, we're going to do more smooth jazz, a little jazz fusion. You're going to hear from folks like my little brother, JaVale, in Kansas City, and Donald Hayes out of LA. This dude just came off tour with Eric Benet and Robin Thicke. He is a saxophonist. Oh my God, I love saxophone. But anyway, so we're going to hear some great music. And I want you to call in starting at about 7 after the hour. Okay?
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Ooh wee. Golly, that first hour went by really fast. But I hope it was good. Are you still there? I hope y'all are still there. We're going to start this hour off. Well, wait a minute. Let me go back. That particular tune is Donald Hayes. That guy is absolutely one of my favorite saxophone players of all time. I met Donald, as a matter of fact, how crazy is this? I met Donald about 12, 13 years ago when I had the radio show in Topeka, and he was coming to our church, I believe, for a winter concert, Christmas concert or something like that. And our musical director and Donald were friends from way back when. And still today, Donald and I are best buddies. As a matter of fact, he will be headlining our benefit concert for our foundation coming up next month. But anyway, that was Donald Hayes. And so we'll talk a little bit more about Donald. But for right now, we have a caller on the line. Oh, my gosh. Debron, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Coach Lisa?
I'm so well. Oh, my gosh. What can I do for you?
Well, I've been listening in, and you've been talking about, your life and everything. And you're just such an inspiration just listening to you today. So, just want to call and just tell you how much that you are inspiring me on today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. I know everybody, has things to do, and they could be doing so many other things. And so I appreciate that you took the time to call in, Debron.
Yes, ma'am. I'm looking forward to more of you every Tuesday.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Have an awesome, awesome, awesome day.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye. So the deal is, I want to share some things with you because, for most folks, they want you to qualify, right? They want you to qualify. You gotta qualify for this job, or you got to qualify for that job. And coaching is my job. And so some of the things that I struggle with, I'm going to be real authentic with you so that you can understand where you were, and or what you went through does not have to define your right now. What you went through does not have to define your right now. You have a decision to make throughout your day, throughout your life. You have a decision to make, and you can say, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to be better because of this. Or you can stay stuck. And let me tell you what happens when you stay stuck. When you stay stuck, you are just totally kicking joy and confidence out the door. There's absolutely no forward movement. And so how can you gain confidence? How can you be joyful about your life if you're stuck doing nothing? Or, you're like that hamster. You're just on the same wheel, just going about, getting in some good exercise maybe. But some of the things that I dealt with, and it was huge for me. It was low self-esteem. It was feeling like I mattered to the adults in my life. There were seasons, and there were very, very long seasons where I felt like I was loved sometimes, but for the majority of the time, I did not feel loved. And we were, we struggled with poverty. We struggled with just not knowing better. My parents did the best they could. My mom and my stepdad, we called him back then. I didn't call him my stepdad. I called him my dad because he was the only dad that I knew. But, it was just one of those situations where they had things that they needed to overcome, right? And they didn't overcome those things before they got married. And so when broken people get married, you just create more brokenness. And so remember I said earlier in the last hour that I created that same situation. I married a guy that was broken. I was broken. And we created a broken situation. We did not heal each other by, coming together. As a matter of fact, we were so young. I was 19 and he was 22. And we didn't know what we were doing. His mother endured abuse by his father, and my mom endured abuse by my father. And it wasn't, one situation wasn't worse than the other. Abuse is abuse, neglect is neglect. And there may be levels to it, but the way we deal with it can be the same. So, I'm just being authentic. I'm being real here so that you can understand low self-esteem and not feeling like I mattered, not having a relationship with my biological father. I went through horrible abuse as a child. And so when you think about, children not having a voice and not having any power, they may have a little strength, physical strength, but back in our day, back in the late 70s, early 80s, and even beyond that, children were seen and not heard. And you could, you would hear adults saying, get out of my mouth, you're not an adult, you need to go and go outside and play. As a matter of fact, that's what you did. We went outside to play. And so, and then, during those times as well, and I see it even today, situations can be going on at home and there is a remedy available. There's help available. But there are parents who say, what goes on in my house stays in my house. And you better not tell anybody anything. And when you are taught that, even when it's time for you to get help as an adult, you still think the same way. You still think maybe I shouldn't say anything. Maybe I should continue with this horrible anxiety or this major anger issue that I have, or this major silence, where I'm not saying anything because even as an adult, I feel like I'm saying something or I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing or I shouldn't be saying. And so even when I sat down at counseling the first time, she had to say to me, it is okay for you to shed this weight. It is okay for you to get this weight off of you. And I've been ridiculed by people who say they love me and saying, you have no business doing that. Well, you know what? I beg to differ. This is my life. And I decided probably about 15 years ago that I would design my life. I would be the designer. Me and God, we were going to have a thing going on. And together, we would get it done. And so I was no longer going to be, that silent person who would just sit idle and keep things hidden. And so from there, I started journaling and I started writing and sharing. And I would be invited to women's conferences and women's events, and I would sing and share or what have you. And I would just pray for women who were broken when they would say, hey, this happened to me or that happened to me. And I would say, but today, what are you going to do? Are you going to hold on to that thing? Are you going to hold on to that childhood abuse, that childhood trauma? But as an adult, you have a voice and you have to say at any given time, my voice matters. The tag for my business is your sunshine is enough. And what I mean by that is no matter where you are and what state you're in, you can open your mouth or you can shut your mouth. But I would beg of you to open your mouth and share your sunshine. And what I mean by that, write it down, share it with someone else, get to a safe place and shed the heavy weight, shed the eating disorder, shed the abuse, shed the low self-esteem, shed the negative self-talk. Get to a place where you can be comfortable but uncomfortable and say, you know what? I'm going to be uncomfortable for a moment because I got to get this stuff off me. And it's going to sting for a minute because I may have to regurgitate it. But once it's out, then healing starts. Once it's out, healing starts. Because as long as you're silent, as long as you keep it a secret, then the enemy of your soul will attack you with that thing. So you have to be careful about what you're going to share and what you're not going to share. But if it's heavy, if it's not doing you any justice as you try to make your way toward greatness, you need to shed that heavy weight. It cannot stay. It cannot remain. So when I talk about transparency, I'm qualified. Not only have I, been professionally trained and certified and all that kind of stuff. My life qualifies me. No one qualifies me. I qualify myself because I did the work. No one can take from me what I have earned. And that is freedom. That is peace of mind. That's joy in my soul. And can't nobody take that away from me. And that's because I decided that I would no longer hide in shame what I'd been through. I was no longer willing to do that. I was so free that I started helping other folks get free. Call me Sojourner, call me Harriet, whatever you want to call me. We were coming from the underground to the upground. we were going to free some people. And I've been in relationships, with people, and even coached folks where I had to step away because their shame was still the heavy weight and they were not ready to release it. And you've got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Don't get me started on Kenny Rogers. You got to know when to walk away and you got to know when to run. And so there are things that I've run from, that I should have stayed with, but I did not have clarity. I did not have understanding. I did not have healing. And I want you to understand healing is when you've done the work, right? When you've done the work of being broken. That's what healing is. When you've done the work and you're no longer broken. That's peace of mind. That creates peace of mind. Peace of mind creates hope. It comes from hope and faith. That's what peace of mind is. You have hope and you have faith that no matter what you're going through, no matter what situation you find yourself in, that you have hope that you're going to get through it, and you have faith in God that this too shall pass. So if you don't have hope and faith, you cannot have peace. And if you don't have peace, that's anxiety. That's trouble. That's heavy. And we weren't created to carry that. So anyway, it gets a little heavy sometimes here, but it's all for the good. It's all for the good. Let's go to some music. Let's go to Julian Vaughn. Juju's Groove is one of my favorite smooth jazz tunes on Sirius XM. Julian is out of Kansas City. Let's see what Julian has for us, because it's good, y'all. It's real, real good. All right, all right, all right. What do y'all think about Juju's Groove? I love that tune. That whole CD is just, it's slamming. Oh my gosh. So for the next few minutes, I want to talk about my coaching business and what that's about. And I chose Design Your Life because we are the ones who are in control. You know, we pray and we know we were created with a purpose and all that kind of stuff, but we've got to understand the power and the strength that lies from within, that lies within. And so if you take that on, and if you say, I'm gonna go this way, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do that thing, and then I'm gonna call somebody, and then I'm gonna ask for permission, I'm gonna get permission from somebody to be great. No, you're not. No, you're not. You don't need to get permission from anybody. First, get permission from yourself. Give yourself the okay to be great, to climb from, where you are, or where you were, to where you want to be. If where you are is not working, fix it. If what you're doing right now isn't working, change it. And so Design Your Life is all about, and if you go to my website, shareyoursunshine.com, you'll see a photo of me with some tools. And that was a really, really fun concept that I was blessed with. And on the photo is, me with my little cute self with a sledgehammer and a hammer and a leveler and the square up angle deal that construction folks use. And I wanted the sledgehammer to be huge in my photos because the sledgehammer is really, the smaller version, of course, if it's not a truck that's just coming in and raise the thing, the sledgehammer can really do some really good damage in clearing out the space that you no longer need. And so mentally, I just equated all of those tools and many others with how we need to design our lives. And if you would look at your history, look at decisions you've made, look at relationships you've been in, you would then decide, what needs to go and what can stay. You can decide what is helpful and what is not. And I got this revelation for this whole concept when we were redoing our pantry in our kitchen. And I just made a decision that, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the analogy, and we're going to go this way, and this is what we're going to do. And there went Design Your Life. And so the sledgehammer, of course, brings the most damage, if you would think about it that way. But also, it brought the most space, the new space. Okay. So the walls had to go. And we had the most fun time with that sledgehammer, just having a ball, just knocking down walls. And in our lives, we have walls we need to knock down. We've coped, and these coping mechanisms have become a wall for us. And there are certain things that certain people, certain ways of living that we have kept out, We have purposed through this coping mechanism that this thing is going to protect us or what have you. Well, if you're growing, that coping mechanism should only be there for a while. And I'm not talking about healthy boundaries. I'm talking about coping mechanisms that are unhealthy. And so when you're talking about clearing space, you grab that sledgehammer, you look at your life, and you mentally start going through, who's been in my life that I've blessed and has returned that favor? Who has taken from me and that's all they've done? Who said who came along and said they would do a thing but never came through? What have I promised myself that I haven't done? So you've got to take inventory, and taking inventory sometimes can take a little bit more time if you're honest. And the day you become fully honest and completely honest with who you are and what you have become, that's when you can say, now it's time for the new. Just as we had to have a plan, and we had to have photos, and we had to have paint colors, and we had to have electrician come in and do some stuff, and we had to have all kinds of people, just for this little pantry. But it was worth it. It was so worth it. And it was a mess before it got better. I need you to really understand that analogy. It was a mess before it got better, because when we're tearing down those walls and we become accessible and vulnerable, that's the scary place. That's the uncomfortable place. But then when you do the work, when you do the work of overcoming, when you do the work of recovery, when you do the work of becoming better, now today that the pantry is done, you would never know what it looked like before. People who come to the house, they don't know that it looked different, because the seams aren't there. There's no residue. That'll preach all by itself. There's no residue. So Design Your Life is all about taking your power, and you harness your power, and you decide, after you've spent some time in prayer and meditation and getting wisdom and going to classes, and possibly, like me, you need to go to therapy, and you say, this is what I want, this is what I deserve, and this is what I'm going to go after. And when you do that, when you make a decision that you're going to be the designer, and you're not going to wait on the permission from anyone else, that what God gave you is enough, you'll be ready to shine. You'll be ready to take those particular steps. It's just like, again, going through that process of tearing down walls and building up new ones. And building up the new ones, the mud or whatever you called it had to dry. And so, just because you start on a new thing and you're going in a new direction, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is allowable. You have to you have to take steps, and you have to allow a methodical thing to happen in order for it all to, be well in the future. Because there's no way that he could have put paint on the walls while the mud was drying, right? It had to wait. There had to be some time between those steps. So in life, we can go through divorce, we can get a new job, or, we can lose our home, or what have you. You have to stop for a moment and say, how do I recover? What can go with me to this new place, and what has to stay? What will journey with me? What do I need, and what don't I need? And so have that plan. As a designer, I love interior design. I've done some of those things in my life. You have to have a design. You have to have a clear picture of what you want. And vision boards served that purpose last year. It was all over the place. It was such a cool thing to see mothers and daughters and women, just coming together, and families even coming together and sitting down and saying, hey, this is what I want, and this is how I want it. And, let me make some plans of action here and see, how I can go about doing this. And so the vision board is good for, planning out your life, your year, your week, your month, whatever. But when it comes to construction, new construction or reconstruction, you've got to have a plan. And sometimes you've got to have an engineer come in and draw up, through an architect, some plans that are going to be viable because you want it to work. In our lives, we have to do the same thing. We can't just go day by day happenstance and say whatever comes, comes, whatever will be, que sera, sera. No, we have to be diligent, and we have to be purposeful. There's a song out that says, you're intentional. Well, beyond intention is purpose, and we were planned. We were created with a purpose. And what are you doing with your purpose? What are you doing with your life today? What have you done with your life in these past years that you've been alive and you've been able to make decisions for yourself? What have you done to make sure that you've designed your life beautifully? And what's really, really cool is how we can stop wherever we are right now, and we can say, I can design now. I'm gonna get a builder, or I'm gonna get a coach, or I'm gonna get a mentor, or I'm gonna go back to class, or what have you. I'm gonna get in a class, or whatever Whatever you need to do, what's that next step for you? Everybody knows where they're slipping, and everybody knows where they're doing well. And I can't remember who it was. I want to say Jim Rohn, but I could be wrong. But he said, the quote was, 87% of what we are thinking is negative. 87% of our thought process is negative. What does that mean for the 13% that remains? If 87% of our thought process is negative, OMG, oh my gosh. And I'll give you, for instance, when I made a decision that I was going to do radio, every negative thing that could come up has come through my head and my heart and my soul since I had that appointment weeks ago. Everything. The drive from Lakeland to Clearwater and back, doing the work of getting, sponsors for the show, all that kind of stuff. Everything that could steer me away from doing this show came up. But I fought it tooth and nail. I fought it, and I kept fighting, and I kept fighting. And don't you know, yesterday at about 3:00, my throat started getting sore. And about 5:00, I started sneezing like crazy. And about 7:00, I started having chills, and I got a fever. But guess what, y'all? Such is life. We have to figure and know and believe why we're doing what we're doing, why we have particular goals in place, because there comes a time when life will happen and you're going to need some grit down in your belly that will say, get the freak up, because your why is counting on you. So when I wasn't feeling well yesterday, instead of staying up late to put some stuff together for the show, I went ahead and went to bed. And I got up early after I rested, and I started getting some things together for the show. Next week is going to be better. It's our first week. But when it all comes down to it, life happens to all of us, right? Life happens to each one of us. How you respond to life is what makes you great or makes you not great. I don't know about you, but there were so many years in my life where I was not great. I was far from it. I was angry. I was always in recovery. And being in recovery without help and without knowing how to recover is the craziest thing ever. Because really it's just another level of being able to, introduce coping mechanisms that seem a little better than what you were doing before. So I hope that has helped you. We're going to go to music. Let's see what we got. What we got. Ooh, we got a local girl. Yeah, we got a local girl. Mindy Abear is a native of St. Pete. I know she travels all over the world now, but I love Mindy's music. Listen in as she's going to bring Take Me Home. Maybe, Ed. Wasn't that absolutely sweet? Good afternoon, y'all. It's 1:47 in Clearwater. What time is it in Lakeland? We're on the FM dial, 106.1 here in Clearwater, St. Pete area, as well as 1340 AM. And in Dade City, we're on AM 1350 and AM 1400 and 104.3 FM. Also online. That's why all of these awesome folks who are listening in can hear me, because we're online. And this will be a podcast that I will play later on in the week. Also, don't forget, send in your questions. I want to answer your questions. I'm not here because I don't have anything better to do. I'm here because I want to help. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer. And so email me your questions for next week. Call in now or later, 727-441-3000. And let's talk about this thing right here. This is so real to me. Everybody's got their way of going about renewal and greatness and all that kind of stuff. But this works really, really. Oh, my gosh. There goes the sunshine. Here it is. 7 steps to greatness. 7 steps. I love the number 7. But anyway, seven steps to greatness. And whoever he is, Mr. Self-Development, I've seen this before, but I want to talk to you about this real quick. 7 steps to greatness. And Helen Keller said this: one can never consent to creep when one feels the impulse to soar. Let that marinate for a minute. One can never consent to creep when one feels the impulse to soar. Now, there's impulsivity that can bring you harm, and then there's that thing in your soul that says, go. It's time to go. So 7 steps to greatness. Number 1, get angry. Intolerance of your present creates your future. Quote by Mike Murdoch. Nothing happens until you get angry. If you can live with it, it will never change. I don't care if it's 30 pounds of extra weight around your waist, or it says a back-talking teenager. If you can put up with it, you will always put up with it. Number 2, get clear. If you can't see it, you can't have it. It's just as difficult to get to a place you can't see as it is to come back from a place you've never been. Woo! Did y'all hear that? It's just as difficult to get to a place you've never been. I'm sorry, a place you can't see as it is to come back from a place you've never been. You must get crystal clear on exactly what you want in life. Write the vision and make it plain. Y'all already know. Have faith. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you are absolutely right. You already know the deal. Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you can't, that's up to you. That's the power that I'm talking about. That's the strength that I'm talking about. That's the will to go and be great. You got to have faith first. You got to hope in yourself and hope in God that you can do it, and then believe that you can. Number 4, make a decision. Decisions decide destinies. Decisions decide destinies. That quote's by Mr. Self-Development himself. Success begins with a decision. It doesn't begin with good luck. It doesn't begin with chance. It begins with a decision. Make the decision to be great and never concede on that decision. Number 5, change the way you think. Nothing is more profound than the fact that a man can change his life by changing his thoughts. Is that profound to you? When you change your mind, you change your life. And that's the truth. Number 6, work harder than anyone else. If you're the laziest one in the bunch, you're the weakest link. That's my quote. If you're the laziest one in the bunch, you're the weakest link. Again, work harder than anyone else. That's number 6. Greg Evans says, I do not have superior intelligence or faultless looks. I do not captivate a room or run a mile under 6 minutes. I only succeeded because I was willing, after everyone else went to sleep, to put in more work. That's real, y'all. Being in business, being an entrepreneur, doing something that's never been done takes sacrifice and requirements from you that you've never done before. And you already know that quote. To have something you've never had before, you got to do something you've never done. So if you're still living the same way you've lived all your life, but you want to be great, you're lying to yourself. Number 7, teach somebody else. A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. That is huge. A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. This is what I implore you to do. I implore you to create a legacy of greatness by overcoming, by staying vigilant, by staying faithful in hope and in prayer. You change your environment when you change you. You cannot impress anyone until you impress yourself. And sometimes that starts with a mental and a spiritual impression. So if you are that person with low self-esteem, but you want to be great, you've got to find a way out of that. And you've got to get help to do that. People need people. And God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary work in the earth realm. That's what I believe. That's just me. But anyway, I think we're going to go out with, golly, let's do Kirk Whalum. Let's do Kirk Whalum. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Please, please inbox me on Facebook because we're going to play some music. We're going to go out with music. I want to come in with music and I want to go out with music. So I want you to be energized. I want you to be inspired. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to know that your life matters. I want you to understand fully and completely that your sunshine is enough. You are enough. Get to work. Till next time.